Okay, so we'll first begin with our session objectives. What are those things which we need to accomplish today? So we are aiming at exploring the concept of differentiated instructions in totality as to what is differentiated instructions. And then second thing is enlisting the key differences in a traditional and a differentiated classroom. We'll also be identifying various ways by which differentiation can be done. We'll review assessments from the differentiation lens, and we'll also be understanding various strategies which are instrumental in integrating DI in regular classroom. So these are certain things which we are going to do today. But before we begin, today I'm going to be taking our interactions through Nearpod. So what I would want is there are two ways. One is that through WhatsApp, I will send you a link and you can go on that link and directly put in your contributions. Second is that on this chat, I will just paste the link here and you can directly click the link here to go. So I have put the link and you can just click on this link or copy this link and paste it in your browser. That's why I said it is better if you are connecting through your laptop. So you can directly paste it in a browser and open it, or otherwise I will just WhatsApp it to you. Give me a second and I'll WhatsApp you the link. Okay, so I've done both the things. You can now check it out either through the chat box or through the WhatsApp. Okay, so the question here is, describe in brief your understanding of differentiated instructions. You know, the third way of joining Nearpod would be if you just go to join. Okay, if you just go to join.nearpod.com, I'll put that also link, and then you can put the code over here, J8CSB. So this is the third way of entering Nearpod. One, I have sent you a link on the chat box in the Zoom meeting. You can click on that, paste it in the browser. Second is through your WhatsApp. I have sent you the link. You can directly go through that link. And third is that you can just go to join.nearpod.com and then put the code over there. When they'll ask for the code is J8CSB. Throughout this training, we are going to be using Nearpod for interaction. And if there is any problem with anyone, please, you can speak out anytime. So don't hesitate. If you have any problem, please speak out. Instead of putting it in the chat box, I would suggest that you can just speak up. So the question here is, describe in brief your understanding of differentiated instructions. Whatever you know about differentiated instructions, whatever you feel are differentiated instructions, just put it in words over there. So I'll be able to see what you all are contributing.
Ma'am, please tell me the code once again.
Code is written here. Just look at your screen, J8CSB. Look at the screen through which you're connected to the Zoom meeting. On that, you can see on the top left code. My cursor is here, J8CSB.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is everybody connected or is there any problem in connection? If you want to go through the code, you can just click on the link which I'm sending you right now. That is join.nearpod.com. Once you go on that, you can enter the code and you would be able to see. Otherwise, I've told you many ways of joining. I believe everybody has joined now. If there's anyone who has a problem, please tell now, because throughout we are going to be working on this. All right, Paramita, instructions catering to diversity in the classroom. She has encapsulated it so well. The whole concept of DI, lovely. All right, I'm awaiting responses. Let's make it quick. Deepti, involve all diverse students and give instructions accordingly. Absolutely, absolutely. You all already know what am I going to teach, I don't know. You already are aware of the concept. If you're facing any difficulty in responding, please let me know. I've got 2 responses as of now. I'm looking for more. All right. I want people to speak up in case if they have any issues in writing. You just have to write a sentence and telling, I mean, that will give me an idea as to what do you understand by differentiated instruction. And that's important for me. Something for everyone, Sushma ji, absolutely. Something suitable for everyone inside the class. Who is Tungabhadra Rani? This name has not registered with me. Anyone in the group who knows Tungabhadra Rani? Okay. All right. Khushbu writes, different instructions used to teach different level of students in the class. Okay. Correct. All right. I've got more response here. Catering to the needs of various levels of students to make them all understand the concept. Okay, I think I've got fair enough responses and I'll move forward. Let me go back to my PPT. So what everybody is saying over here is that differentiated instructions are something by which we are able to cater to the needs of all the students inside the class, which also says that we have to be, first of all, understanding our children, and we have to then look into the diversity, what kind of diverse learners are there, and we cater to them. Okay. Now, I just want all of you to have a look at this particular thing. Before that, what are differentiated instructions? Now, differentiated instructions are a set of unique decisions that the educators make to bring learning within the grasp of all students. And I think everybody said this. Remember, this includes students who are working on the grade level, below the grade level, and for those students who are working above the grade level. So here we are talking about almost, 3 segments of students: grade level, above the grade level, and below the grade level, right? Now, unique set of decisions which then makes learning within the grasp of all the students. So these are differentiated instruction, and I feel that fairly the group knows what differentiated instruction is. So I want all of you to respond on this, okay? And you can keep your mics on because I want responses on this. And this is a graph. On the y-axis, you can see there is difficulty level, and on the x-axis, it is skill. Now, if the things are here, When I'm saying things are here, which means that the difficulty level of the task is high and the skill level of the child is low. So if the skill is at a lower level and if the difficulty level of the task is more, what do you think the learner will feel? I want contributions from you. What do you think the learners are going to feel? Speak up.
I think learner feels overburdened.
They will feel overburdened, okay? Yes. What else? What
They may,
else?
they may get confused.
They would be confused, okay? Yes. I am looking for more things. As a learner, if you are a learner, I think some people are writing in the chat box. Okay.
They might give up in the beginning of the task.
Right in the front, beginning, they will give up and they say, okay, that's not possible for me to manage. Yes, that is possible. Okay. So,
Ma'am, I think they will lose interest in that particular subject where they are not getting that,
correct.
means where they are feeling difficulty level.
Okay, absolutely, Veena ji. आप तुंगभद्रा रानी के नाम से आप enter किए हैं. I was a little, I didn't know because this name was not registered. Okay, so but I was looking for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now, yes, you are saying that the child will feel lost. Some saying the child will confuse. Some say that the child will give up. So the fact is that the child will feel miserable, and there will be
And the child will be
yeah. There'll be a lot of anxiety because the difficulty level of the task is high and the skill level is low. Now let's look at this point where the skill is very high and the difficulty level is low. What do you think that the learner will feel over here? A learner with high skill with a low difficulty level task
will feel more comfortable in doing anything.
will feel more comfortable. Okay.
Right.
Anything else?
After
Good learning will take place.
interest in the class.
Okay.
No, ma'am, but I feel that he will also face the same condition
Yes.
as the high difficulty level with the low skill a child will face.
So what do you think will be the top feeling in this child? There are children who are sitting inside the class, those who have high ability, but the task given to them is of low difficulty level. What do they feel? How do they
They
feel?
will also lose interest.
They will, yeah, sure, yes. They will lose interest.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so they will be
They need some challenging task. Some challenging task has to be given to them.
correct. So they will lose interest, and you will find that largely they will be stuck with boredom. Okay, and you know that there are children who are sitting bored inside the class. That also happens. So now what should we do? When do you think that your class will run in a flow? The class will run in a flow only when, observe this graph very properly. Whenever in this graph, in this line, you'll find that the difficulty level is just above the skill level. Any point you see over here, the difficulty level is slightly higher than the skill level, right? Now, when the skill is here and the difficulty is here, difficulty is slightly above the skill, what do you think will happen to the learner? This is very important for us to understand.
But this will act as a motivator and will make the child work more and discover himself all the more.
Correct. The child will feel motivated. Why the child will feel motivated? Because the distance between the skill and the difficulty is not too much.
Less.
Right? So it is achievable. And the moment the child achieves this, the child will feel motivated to achieve a higher level task. Are you getting my point? So in this case, what happens is when will the class proceed in a flow? When inside our class, we are able to provide the task to the children which are just above their skill level. Now you would say that in a class, there are different students and they have different skill levels. Now, how is it that we can provide a task to them which is just slightly above the skill level? Which means that we are talking about providing them many tasks or different kind of tasks, and that something is a little difficult to imagine. okay, or practically we find that it is difficult to do, right? But the research says that if we are able to provide them tasks or give them activities or teach them in such a manner that their skill level is just below the difficulty level of the task, all of them are going to grow. Okay, so we stick on to this one particular principle, that children will make progress only once their skill level is just slightly below the difficulty level, so that they are pushing themselves up and they are achieving their targets. Okay. Now, the problem is that in some of the classroom structures, we really do not address this diversity. And this is the fact that we do not really address the diversity. The biggest mistake of the past centuries in teaching has been to treat all children as if they were the variants of the same individual, and thus to feel justified in teaching them all the same subjects in the same manner. And this is none other than Howard Gardner who is saying this, that we feel absolutely justified in teaching the students in absolutely the same way, all the students. Okay, so now that all of us are over here to understand differentiated instructions, we definitely want to address this student diversity. Okay, so we'll just have a quick look into a traditional classroom and a differentiated classroom. What are the basic differences between them? Now, the first difference here is differences are acted upon when problematic. Now, when I say this, differences are acted upon when problematic, just consider that you've received the class 11th half-yearly marks.
So,
No, sir. No, sir.
Sorry,
okay.
Pratibha, please mute yourself. Okay, so consider that you've just received the class 11th half-yearly mark sheets, and in fact, what happens generally is half of your class fails, and especially in the science stream. Now, what happens once you have received that, and then you see that, okay, this is a problem, and I need to address this problem. Then you will go back and find out what are the differences. Then you will try to categorize the students, and then you will try to work upon it. Okay, this is what happens naturally. So in a traditional classroom, we act on differences once there is a problem which crops up. But in a differentiated classroom, differences are studied as a basis for planning. While I am planning my lesson plan, I will take care of those differences in the planning stage itself. So that's the basic difference between a traditional and a differentiated classroom. Second thing is, assessment is most common at the end of learning to see who got it. But here it is an ongoing assessment, diagnostic in nature, and the instructions are the ones which are driven by what assessments have to say. Okay, so to make instructions more responsive to learners' need. So in a differentiated classroom, you will find it's the assessment which feeds the instruction. And in the instruction, there are assessments which are added. So both of them are, both the things are feeding each other. Remember this one absolutely important principle of a differentiated classroom is that the instructions and assessment, they are inseparable. They are inseparable. Okay, so, and when I'm saying instructions, I'm talking about a lesson plan in which the teacher decides as to how would he or she proceed. So various kind of things which are being planned in the lesson plan is termed as instruction. So this is the second thing. Third, a relatively narrow sense of intelligence prevail. So in a traditional classroom, some students are intelligent, some are not intelligent, some are mediocre intelligent, and that is what we consider in terms of intelligence. Ye intelligent hai, ye intelligent nahi hai, ye kam intelligent hai, and so on. So this is how so it's a very narrow sense of intelligence which prevails in a traditional classroom. However, in a differentiated classroom, you will find multiple forms of intelligences are evident. And I'm referring to over here all the various 8 different intelligences which Howard Gardner has pointed out. A teacher who is careful about differentiated instructions will look into these multiple intelligences, will not say you are intelligent or you're not intelligent, or will not think in this manner, but will try to find out how is this child intelligent, right? So that's the basic difference. Then coverage of curriculum drives the guides or drives the instruction. The main motto is that the curriculum needs to get finished. Over here, the students' readiness, the students' interest, and the students' learning profile, all of these things are important to design the instructions. Okay. Over here in a traditional classroom, you find that the whole class instruction dominates. It's the same instruction for the entire class. But in this case, you will find that there are many different instructional arrangements which are done in a differentiated classroom. In a traditional classroom, there is one single text which prevails. That's the Bible. And that is what is followed everywhere. And so that's the traditional classroom. But in the case of differentiated classroom, you will find that there are multiple materials which are used. Okay. This is very important for us to understand that a traditional classroom and differentiated classroom, how do they look like? And what is the thought process of the teacher? So important thing over here is I should know my students. I should know what kind of diversity is existing. I should know how are these children intelligent. I should know what kind of assessments should I put inside my lesson so that I come to know whether the children have understood or not, where is each child, and so that I can drive my instruction accordingly. I will use multiple resources, and it's not just one instruction. There will be multiple instructions in my class, right? So that's the definition of a differentiated classroom. Now, if you're thinking that this seems to be more idealistic than practical, the fact is that it is very, very easily practical. It's very easily practical, right? So we have to first of all believe that it can be done, and then we have to, understand what are the various ways by which it can be done. So that's the difference between traditional and differentiated classroom. Let's move further. When we will have this kind of a differentiated classroom, we will find that all the children are going to feel welcomed. The mutual respect will be non-negotiable. This is important for us to understand. Whenever we are doing differentiation, we have to do differentiation in a most subtle manner. Okay. We do not have to announce anybody. We don't have to label any child. We have to do differentiation in such a manner so that nobody even comes to know that you're practicing differentiation, right? And there is mutual respect between students. Between teacher and students, there is mutual respect. Between students, there is mutual respect. A good differentiated classroom will always have mutual respect. That's non-negotiable. Then students will feel physically, mentally, and emotionally safe. Why will they feel safe? Because all of them are making progress. All of them are getting positively motivated. All of them are feeling good about themselves. So therefore, physical, mental, and emotional safety is there. There will be pervasive expectation of growth. I will teach for success. The teacher here is teaching for success, not to fail any student, not to judge a student, but to guide the student for success. A new sort of fairness will be evident and accepted, and we will collaborate for mutual growth and success. So these are the elements of a differentiated classroom. So this is a nice one. We are for difference, for respecting difference, for valuing difference until difference no longer makes a difference. Now, so that's something which is, this is the nice quote which I liked, so I thought I should bring it here. Okay, now let's learn about ways by which we can differentiate. Okay, so this is going to be a monologue for some time. You have to bear with me. I have to pass on this information. There are 10 different ways by which we can differentiate. We can differentiate by objective, by success criteria, by activity, by level of support, by questioning, by time, by outcome, by role, by groupings, and by resources. 10 different ways by which differentiation can be done. So let's see examples of each one of these. Okay, so differentiate by objective, which means that for different group of students, there are different objectives which are there. So we will largely divide our children as, say, low achievers, middle achievers, and high achievers, just for the sake of understanding. Okay. So the objectives could be very different for each one of them. For the low achiever, it could be a simple objective that I can write a sentence. For middle achiever, it could be I can write a sentence using an adjective. And for a high achiever, it could be, I can write a sentence using and to link two ideas, right? Now here it will be, you can have, now you will say that how do you differentiate? How do you carry out this instruction inside the class? Karenge kaise class ke andar? How will we tell them that you have to do this, how you have to do this, you have to do this, right? So what you can do is, you can always say this is task A, task B, task C. You can put it up on your board or on the slide or whatever. And then just below those tasks, you can put in the roll numbers out there. That, okay, these roll numbers will attempt task A, these roll numbers will task B and task C. Or now in this case, it's not task, it's more like an objective. So the objective of this group of students is this, objective of this group of students is this, and so on. And then you can go ahead and proceed. So this is one way by which you can go ahead and do differentiation. That is, you can have different objectives for different set of students. Okay. We will discuss in detail about the practicality of each and everything. How do we actually carry it inside the class? Okay. Then another is differentiate by success criteria. Okay. Now, how do we do that? Success criteria is that what all things am I going to see in my work so that I consider myself to be successful at this task? That is your success criteria. Now, what is that which we do? All the children will have the same objective. However, what you are looking for from each group is different. So I'm looking for capital letters. We are learning to write a character description. Lower achievers, I am looking for capital letters, finger spaces, and full stops. Right now, with the low achievers, you are trying to achieve the basic form of writing. Okay, that they're writing the capital letters at the right place. They're having finger spaces between the two words. There are full stops which are put nicely. Middle achievers, I'm looking for super sentences and adventurous adjectives. High achievers, I'm looking for super sentences which have a list of adventurous adjectives separated by a comma. Okay. Now, each and everything is so distinctly given over there. So here, when the children are going to be writing, they will specifically look into what is expected from them. Right. So this is differentiate by success criteria. You can keep noting down your questions, whatever are there with you, and we'll address all these questions together. Now, differentiate by activity. I've brought this example from a slightly higher class. Different groups of children will have different activities to complete. Now, the activities here are, we are learning about bill of exchange. So lower achievers, in the given bill of exchange, find out the errors. So what you're going to do is, to some group of students, you're going to provide the bill of exchange and ask them, what errors do you see in this bill of exchange? To the middle achievers, you will say, draw a bill of exchange and create a checklist of its features. What all important things have to be there in a bill of exchange? So you have to create a checklist of that. And to the higher achievers, you can say, create a set of 5 questions to ask the class on bill of exchange, right? Now here what you're doing is, you are giving them the task which is according to their skill level, and there are different things which are coming out. Now, in different ways you are exploring bill of exchange. You're giving the task to the students in such a manner so that it is according to their ability level, and all of them are going to understand about bill of exchange, right? So this is differentiating by activity. Next is differentiate by support. Now, when we say differentiate by support, there are 2 kinds of support which are existing inside the class. One is the support extended by the teacher. Another is the support which is extended by the peers, right? So what you have to do is, suppose you are creating a mixed ability group. If you're creating a mixed ability group, you have given the same task to all the groups. Now, because it's a mixed ability group, within the group, you will find that there are students of different abilities, and they will be helping each other in understanding the concept. Now, this is differentiation by support, differentiation by peer support. So whenever, largely you should work with mixed ability groups only, because that children are going to learn from each other, and that's the best way that they learn. And then if there is another way that you can do it, you can make ability groups. Now, when you're making ability groups, you can differentiate by 2 more different ways in the same activity. One, high ability group, give them the task according to their ability. So in different groups, because you're making high ability group, middle ability group, and low ability group, you are also differentiating on the basis of activity or task, right? And then because there is a low ability group which is there at one place, you can choose to spend more time with the low ability group, right? Because they are the ones which need your support. So this is differentiation by teacher support. Now, within this category itself, you can choose some of your high ability students to be sitting with the groups who need support. So this is an extension of the support which is provided by peers, right? So when we are talking about differentiation by support, two ways it is possible: one by peers, another with the help of a teacher. So the teacher can choose with whom he or she would spend more time. Somebody who needs more time is the child or the group with which the teacher spends more time, right? So this is there are two ways that the differentiation by support is possible. Then we have differentiation by questioning. Okay, and this is something which I feel almost all teachers use it inadvertently, without even thinking that they are doing or using this. How it has to be done? When you are asking a question, ask the question according to the ability level of the student. Okay, so if you remember my initial slide which said the skill level to be just below the difficulty level. So when you are asking somebody, when you have asked a question, you would be able to judge what is the difficulty level of this question and accordingly choose the student who is supposed to be answering, right? So therefore, you can always do differentiation by questioning. Now, another way, very nicely, what you can do inside the class is you can use something like a hot potato. I have put a potato out here. So you can say, you can have a squeezy ball in your hand and you can say that we are going to play a game like hot potato. And then you say that to whomsoever I will throw this ball, that person only has to answer, right? So what you can do is you pose your question in front of the whole class, let the whole class think about the answer, and then you choose to whom you would like to ask the question based upon the difficulty level of the question, right? So suppose it's a question which is based on knowledge and understanding, and you have asked a low achiever this particular question. Now what you can do is you can bounce this question to a middle achiever or a high achiever and raise the level of the question to the application or the analysis level, right? So this is another way that you can just go on and do the questioning. So your questions will depend upon the ability of the students. And this is very scientific. Every time that a student is able to answer a question inside the class, believe me, the child's energy level goes up, mind opens up, and the mind prepares itself to take our next higher level of challenge. And it works. It really works. Okay. So therefore, differentiation by questioning, which can be very, very easily used by the teachers and at so many different stages. Next comes differentiation by time. So when we are talking about differentiation by time, there are three things that I have written over here. One is flipped classroom, another is adaptive learning, third is tiered worksheets. Okay, I'll explain this to you. The word itself tells that differentiation by time means providing more time to those children who need more time, providing less time or not wasting the time of those students who can quickly finish it, right? Now, when I've written flipped classroom over here, in a flipped classroom, if you know the concept of a flipped classroom, that you provide them the content or the material to be viewed at home or to be heard at home or to be read at home, right? And then you ask them to come back to the classroom and do some activities. Now, when you're providing, say, a video which you have created and the children are watching it at home, they will be watching it at their own pace. Somebody who can just understand it in one go will watch it thoroughly and then finish it off, right? But somebody who needs more time to understand, who wants repeated viewing of that video, can do that, right? So flipped classroom is providing a good basis for differentiation. You would be able to reach out to all your children and the children will be able to get a grasp on the topic because they are not bound to a particular class or a time and space in which they have to understand. They have the resource with them and they have the time with them. Okay, that's one. Second is differentiation by time, and the example which I've written here is adaptive learning. Adaptive learning is another concept which runs more on technology, which says that once the child has appeared one level of question, and depending upon whether that question which is attempted is right or wrong, the next question comes. So the next question is based on the ability level of the student. That is adaptive learning. So if I am starting now, I may be judged by the computer that, okay, I'm right now at the C level and I need to move to B and A. So the questions which will be thrown to me one after the other will be based on my level, and then it will slowly, gradually push my level up. So that is that's about adaptive learning. And the third thing which I'm talking about is the tiered worksheets. Again, this is something which we can do very well inside the class, easily inside the class, and we should do it. When you are preparing a worksheet, prepare your worksheet in such a manner so that it has almost 3 parts. And you say that part 1, and the part 1 should have questions which all level of your students can appear for. And it's important for them, everybody to know at least that much, right? The second part of the worksheet should be such which has slightly higher level of questions. So it has questions which are based on analysis or application and analysis, right? And the third level of questions, try to make questions which are based on evaluation and creation, right? Now, what you can do is you give this worksheets to everybody and say that, okay, we've got half an hour time with us or whatever time you have. And you say that you all have to attempt this worksheet and see that within this time, whatever number of questions you can attempt, you attempt, but try to see that you have to go in a sequence. Now, this is differentiation by time. How? Because those children who can quickly do it will be able to move to level 2 and will be able to move to level 3. But those who cannot do it will at least be doing level 1. So within the same time, there is nobody who is sitting idle. Especially this happens in your maths class. In your maths class, there are some children who quickly finish it and then they sit and they chit chat or disturb the class, right? So what you can do is you can say that, okay, now once you finish this one, this is the second level, this is the third level, and you have to keep attempting these questions. So this is another way that you can differentiate by time. Next is differentiation by outcome, which means what is that outcome which you're expecting from the students, the different products that you're expecting from the students. So I'm giving you an example here. We are learning the emerging modes of businesses, right? Different groups are given different tasks, create situations and enact the following transactions. So there are some children who have been asked to create a situation and enact. So B2B, B2C, C2C, these are the different transaction types. Then conduct a debate on e-business, e-business is better than traditional business. So there's the second group, and here you will find multiple intelligence coming into play. Okay, so here it could be some people who are kinesthetic by nature. Here it could be some people who are more linguistic in nature or have linguistic dominant intelligence. Illustrate applications of e-business. So in the form of illustrations, they have to come out about what are the various applications of e-business. Create a flow chart on the process of e-business. All those people who are very logical, so they can be given this. You're somehow not able to study after class 12. Work out a business idea which will make you earn money and with least investment possible based on your knowledge of the current chapter. So here this is creation of a business plan. So you can also see over here that the difficulty levels are different over here. It is also based upon the multiple intelligences. And what you can also do is you put the tasks out there and ask the children to choose. Let them choose. What is that which they would like to go ahead and do? Because they will be able to analyze themselves better and say that, okay, I think I would like to do this. I think I like to do this. So this way, what happens is that you are making them interested in your topic from variety of different ways. And once all of them are going to present it, don't you think that their knowledge and understanding of e-business will be far more greater? Okay. And what have you done as a teacher? You've only planned so well. You have involved and engaged the students, and therefore you'll find that the outcome will be much better. And this is another way by which we can go ahead and differentiate. Another is differentiate by role. Now, how are we differentiating by role? giving different roles to the students. Students are already playing the role of a student, so that's there. Students can be in the role of a peer mentor, right? Which means that within the group, you can make some students as peer mentors, and they are the ones who are supposed to be clearing the doubts of the others. Student can become a teacher, which means the student is now going to be teaching the entire class. Student can become an expert. Now there's slight difference here between teacher and expert. So expert means that there is some specific topic which you have given to the child, and the child researches upon it and comes out with more details, and then talks like an expert to the entire class, right? So that's another role. And the role could be a reversal where the teacher becomes a student. Okay, so now the teacher is assuming the role of the student and then is going ahead and participating in the class. So in all of these cases, you will find, because you are changing the roles of the students quickly and frequently, they will be interested and they are going to be learning better. The key idea over here is, only if you can keep your children interested, all your children interested, to bring their interest in this, you have to always think about innovative ways. So you can keep changing their roles and their interest will remain there. Another is differentiating by grouping. Now, what are the various groups which can be created? One is gender grouping. So gender grouping could be that you can have groups of girls and groups of boys. And for gender grouping, whenever you're doing, try to take up topics, which would be, say, for example, you can ask boys to think about ideas. When do you think that the girls are discriminated? What are those situations and things where girls you feel are discriminated? To the girls, you can say, when do you think boys feel discriminated, right? And so what will happen is they will be able to put themselves in the other person's shoe and then speak. So when you're doing gender grouping, then you try to put in, do only for some such topics. Or you can have gender grouping like equal number of boys and girls in all the groups. Then there will be ability grouping. As I told you, ability grouping is put low ability together, middle ability together, high ability together. Or it could be mixed ability grouping, which means low ability, middle ability, high ability, all of them are present in one group. So there is unanimous distribution of all the three abilities in all the groups. And then it could be on the basis of interest. Interest is related to your intelligences. My interest is in languages, my interest is in art, my interest is in acting, my interest is in drawing. So it depends upon, based on my interest, the grouping is done, right? So we can go ahead and differentiate the students with the help of grouping as well. And finally, this is the last one, and that is differentiate by resources. So when I'm saying differentiate by resources, here the teacher brings in as many different variety of resources as possible. As much resources you're going to use inside your class, your children are going to get interested and they are going to learn better. And what are the various range of material that you can use inside the class? It could be videos, songs, animations, computer games, newspaper articles, stories, handouts, slides, anything, whatever, demonstration kits which you can use inside the class. So when you're using variety of different resources, then also you are differentiating, because with each resource you're reaching out to some or the other child, right? So so these are the various ways by which we differentiate. So let me just give it a small recap to it. We said differentiation by objective, then differentiation by success criteria, then we had differentiation by activity, differentiation by outcome, differentiation by time, differentiation by grouping, differentiation by role, differentiation by what else was that? Resources. So that's 8. Differentiation by what am I missing out?
Support.
Yeah, differentiation by support and
By questioning.
By questioning, yes, differentiation by questioning. So these are the 10 different ways by which we can differentiate. Before I go on to next activity of mine, I would like to open the house for small questioning if you have in your mind. Any questions which are coming to your mind, please pose your questions here. If at all there are questions, otherwise then we'll move on to our next activity. If it's like very clear, then we can move on further.
Rupa ma'am, I have one question.
Yes.
Now, when we talk of differentiation by support,
Mhm.
when we talk of like, by peer grouping and all, so the child with higher intelligence or higher ability, would the child learn anything in the sense that how will he get benefited from that? If he's
Very
put
good
in a
question.
with some child with, like, when we group them in a this thing where child with the lower ability is there, so how will the child with a higher ability benefit?
I mean, it's a very, very nice question, Susmaji.
Yes, ma'am. There
The
are
thing is,
gifted children.
yeah,
I
yeah,
also want to ask this question.
okay. So suppose there are one thing, if you would have read John Hattie's research, John Hattie's research and the other researchers have said that the best way to learn is to teach to someone else, right? Now, when you are talking about this gifted child who knows quite a few things, if this child is teaching someone else, okay, then in that case, the concept clarity and things of this child will become much better, and the child will move up, because when you study as a student, it is different. When you teach as a teacher, it is different. And I believe all of us would agree over here. I have seen this myself. When I studied chemistry as a subject, as a student, I did not really had very good clarity of the concepts. But the moment I started teaching, and after the grilling, first year grilling by the senior students, I came to know about my own subject in which I did my master's much better with the help of those 11th, 12th kids who made me read, understand, and then teach them. Right. So when we are teaching, the clarity of the concepts become much better. So therefore, it is always better, always better that the high ability students, they will find this challenging. High ability students will find this as a challenge to teach it to someone and make somebody understand the concept. So therefore, there is a progression in the skill level of the child which is taking place when we are talking about that. In case if you feel, now again it depends upon task to task. If you feel that in this case for this topic, even teaching is not going to push the child, then don't go in for mixed grouping. Then go in for different thing. Then give this child a higher level of task. So it depends upon when do you want to choose to do mixed grouping. We need not do it every time for every topic. Right. So it's upon our choice where we feel that the children are going to learn from each other, do mixed ability grouping. But where the task is not all that challenging, then I would suggest make different tasks for different groups of students, and then you can go in for ability grouping as well. Okay. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, ma'am, I have another question, ma'am.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, when you say differentiating on the basis of different criteria that you've just mentioned, are we not encouraging this? Would, children are very sensitive and very smart nowadays. The child with a lower ability won't he or she be bullied by those who are at the higher level? Because that thing also comes into role. You are dull-head, you are potato head, and you won't understand. So how to take care of that?
Again, a very valid question, and it does come in a training on differentiated instruction. And that's the reason I said right in the beginning that when you are differentiating, do it in a sensible manner. Do it in a manner which is very subtle. Say, for example, you want to create mixed ability groups. Okay. So if you say that, okay, you are an intelligent student, you come here, you come, I think you also join in here. I think you need support, so you join this group. If you're differentiating in this manner and this way you're creating a group, obviously there will be a problem, right? But in case if you're a sensible teacher and you want to put differentiation also into place without anybody knowing that you're differentiating, you would go ahead with a slide, and in that slide you will have groups and the names of the students of that groups which are mentioned already, right? That will save your time. Secondly, nobody would know that, okay, you have done some kind of a differentiation. You have formed your groups, and every time keep on changing your groups. So, so when you're creating mixed ability groups, it should be like that. In some cases, and which I'm going to come further, in some cases, we should definitely announce and say that, okay, fine, I would like all of you to review your own learning and tell at which stage you are in your learning, right? So when the children are assessing themselves and telling that, okay, I am at this stage, I think I need help, and in that, at that time, the child will not feel bad, because that's the review or the self-assessment of the child. So it all depends upon how tactfully are we dealing inside our class. And in fact, further, when I'll go down and I'll tell you about some of the strategies, I'll also tell you how to do it inside the class, right? So if there is a teacher who is sensibly and tactfully managing a differentiated class, there will be no problem. You have given different tasks to different students. Now it's upon you how you are distributing the tasks. So the children will never come to know until and unless you speak it out. Okay, so that's that sensibility the teacher needs to be keeping while the instructions are being given to the students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll just proceed to another small little activity which I have for you. And again, it's on Nearpod, right? So the second question of mine, this is matching pairs, and it's based on what we have just studied. So what you have to do is that you have to go ahead and match. And it'll be best if you do it on your laptop, because then you can see all the different, column A and column B, both the columns. It's not divided into column A and column B. You just have to click the two things which you want to match adjacent. You click one thing, and whatever you want to match it with, the second click should be on that. So it will automatically tell you whether it's right or it's wrong. And the question is based on whether this is an example of differentiating by objective, this is an example of differentiating by time, and so on, right? So go ahead. And I'll hide the student's name, so nobody will be able to see how many tries and how many matches. So there is, feel free to make mistakes.
We are not able to see the questions.
I have already put the question up. It's there.
Okay.
Matching pairs question is up. Yeah, just check it once.
Ma'am,
I'm not able to understand, ma'am. Nothing is there.
no,
Classroom results, and there are asterisks.
Yes, ma'am. There is no question.
Column, and in matches and tries, there are just
Okay.
hyphens, ma'am. What are we to do?
ma'am, like question are in front of us, but how to move?
Acha, you've got the question now?
Yeah, I got the question, but I'm not able to move it. Like
You don't have to move. You don't have to move it. You just have to click. So
Okay,
if you're clicking on one, and then whatever you feel it matches with, click on the second one.
okay,
Yeah, one after the other. So then it'll match.
right.
Are you able to get the question, everybody?
No, ma'am.
Oh, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
I'm getting, ma'am. I'm getting.
No, I did not get.
It's a little strange. This is the question, matching pairs. I'm sharing it again. See, yeah, I can see Deepthi, Sushma ji attempting it. 2 people have already started attempting. Not everybody is joined to the classroom. Why? Are there some people who are finding difficulty in joining the classroom?
Ma'am, I'm
Yes,
not.
ma'am. I need code to
You need
enter
a code.
in this
Code is here.
Nearpod.
Yeah, J8CSB. Look on the screen here. The code is available. J8CSB.
J8CSB. J8.
All caps.
Okay.
I have put the pairs also here, up here, so you can check out what pairs have I put. Okay. I will not put it up here because that's the right answer. only 2 people are able to attempt it till now. Excuse me, sorry.
I have done, ma'am.
Yes. Deepti has attempted. Only 2 people. Where are you struggling? I thought of trying out something new this time. So that's the reason I put it on Neopad. Okay, 3 people have attempted now. 4, oh yes. Good. I can see more people attempting.
I'm not able to get it, ma'am.
Even I am not able to get it.
Me also.
Ji, but you have given 2 tries already. I can see. So what you have to do is, when you are clicking.
Come on, 2 tries come to you.
Wait, just a second. I'll show it.
You have to click on pairs. Which one is matching with which? Just click them. A tick will come if it is right.
That's all matter. நீங்க 2 ட்ரை முடிச்சிட்டீங்க. இன்னும் ஒரு 4 சான்ஸ் தான். அன்னைக்கு 1 லாக் பண்ணுறோம்.
I think I should move forward now. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll keep this on. Okay, you can attempt this later on also after the session, right? So you can go ahead and do the attempting. What I can show you are the answers over here. I'll show you the answers. You can check that out. So when we are writing about with objectives, so we are learning 2, and there were low achievers, middle achievers, high achievers. So there are 3 different objectives which are listed there. When we are saying resources, teacher uses variety of materials. Activity, different students have different tasks to do. Outcome, different products are expected from the students. Questioning, asking questions based on the student's ability. And differentiation by time, example of that could be flipped classroom or the tiered worksheets or adaptive learning as we studied. Okay, so that's one, but don't move out of Nearpod. Don't move out, because the second thing which I want all of you to attempt now is, again, a small little collaboration which I want you all to do. And the question here is, the next question for you is, how do you take a minute to list some ways you typically assess students in your class? Okay, so right now what you have to think about is, how do you assess your students inside the class? What are the various ways by which you do assessment inside the class? And I'm not talking about summative assessment. I am talking about inside the class. How do you assess them? Just think about that and write various different ways by which you assess them. Have you got the next question, everybody, on your screen? Those who are finding difficult to get the next question on the screen, I would suggest go from join.nearpod.com and enter your code J8CSP. In case if you have a trouble. If there is no trouble, then just continue. Okay, by asking questions related to the topic, quiz, debate, role play, concept map, mind map, exit card. Excellent. Questioning, generally closed-ended type questions. Okay, through seminars you would like to assess them. By the class response of the children you do assessments. Open-ended questions, think, pair and share. Okay, so you are doing that. By questioning, role play. By questioning, role play, task according to their choice, yes. And written work of the students, okay. All right. By asking questions, assignments, elocution probably, no, elicitation, sorry. Elicitation, worksheets, activities, conceptual questions, jigsaw and reciprocal teaching, that's nice. Okay, so these are the various ways by which you are going ahead and assessing your students inside the class. Great, all right, thank you. So, it's important for us to look into assessment in a differentiated classroom. How does that look like? Assessment drives instructions and helps the teacher map next steps for varied learners and class as a whole. Very, very important, and something which I've said earlier, when you are going ahead and doing your assessment, that will give you the data for doing your differentiation in your next class. When you do differentiation in the next class, the children move forward. Again, you do assessment and you collect data for further differentiation. So please understand that this is a cycle and this cycle will go on. So assessments, this is important for us to understand. Whenever we are talking about differentiation, assessments drive instructions. And instructions then will help you collect data for differentiation. So assessment occurs consistently as the unit begins, throughout the unit, and as the unit ends. Assessment is not something which assessment goes on. If you see the Cambridge lesson plan, every small thing which the teacher is doing, there is a simultaneous column of how are you assessing, which means that everything that you are doing, you have to tell that, are you doing some kind of an assessment with everything that you are doing, right? So it is something which is happening throughout your lesson. Assessment is happening throughout. The teachers assess students' readiness, interest, and learning style. These three things. Student readiness means where has the child reached, which place the child is, how ready the child is for the concept. And so assessments are part of teaching for success. Assessments generally हम ये देखते हैं कि कौन पास हुआ, कौन फेल हुआ, कौन कहाँ पहुंचा, किसको कितने मार्क्स मिले. Grades are not all that important. What is important is that this assessment is being used as a tool to teach for success. It's just a paradigm shift which every teacher has to go in for when we are looking at assessments. Assessments has to be viewed from a different angle altogether. Assessment information helps the student chart and contribute to their own growth. So when you make the child do self-assessment, when your child make your child reflect metacognitively, it will yield to the child's own growth when the child is doing that. And assessments also can be differentiated, and I'll tell you how assessments can be different. And I think quite a few already are aware of how assessments can be differentiated. Assessment information is more useful to the teacher than grades, and assessment is more focused on personal growth rather than on peer competition. Okay, so when we are looking at assessment in a differentiated classroom, it has a different purpose altogether. And basically that's what we are talking about, assessment for learning. So here, as the key principle of a differentiated classroom is assessment and instruction are inseparable. So assessment is not for gatekeeping, it is for nurturing. It is not for judging, but it is for guiding. It's not to see who got the right answers, but it is to make children self-reflect. It is not to increase your control on the children, rather it has to give you, it should provide you more information. It is not to compare with others, but it is to have the comparison to the task, what task the child has taken up. It is also not on some singular activities, only sometimes that the assessments are occurring, but it should be over multiple activities. So that's how we have to look at assessments when we are talking about differentiated classroom. Okay, now we will see various things which we can do to integrate differentiation in our class. There are some people have already written there that how do you do assessment, and I think Deepti ji had written that you had written exit cards probably. Now exit cards are those cards which you are giving to the children. There are two things, one is entry card, another is exit card. So when you're giving it to the children, once you've finished the concept and you want to check whether each one of them have got it or not, okay, the concept. So you can give them exit cards. Now, how do you differentiate in this exit cards? When you're giving them exit card is something which has a question on the top and you have some space provided for the children to write the answer. That's an exit card. Now, you can provide different questions to different students which are checking the same concept. Now, example over here is, explain the difference between simile and metaphor. Give some examples of each as a part of your explanation. Happy as a clam is an example of, circle the correct response, simile or metaphor. Now you can see over here, the difficulty level of both the questions is different. And you can definitely give it to different level of students. But both of them are checking the same concept. Right, so that's the example of an exit card. You can differentiate. Now, how would you use it? You can have different colored cards, and you can have your own coding in your mind that red color is for A category of students, blue color is for B, C, and D. This is how you have made the difficulty level of the questions. And while you're distributing, you distribute the questions according to the color coding, if you want like that. Or you can have A, B, C, D written over there, and then you can give it or distribute it. Or you can just have roll numbers written, students' roll numbers written on that, and then you can distribute it. So you don't have to tell anybody that you're differentiating. You say that everybody will be getting different set of questions. So you just have to write down the answer to what question you have got, right? So this is again very subtle manner of differentiating and still getting. Now, once you get the responses from the students, you would be able to collect the data for differentiation. Now, it depends on the answer that you will get to know. Group one of the students could be students who have understood the concept or the skill. And then group two would be students with some understanding of the concept or the skill. And another group three, this three would be that students who are struggling with the concept or skill. Based on whatever responses you've got on the exit cards, you have now categorized your students. Next day, when you're going in the class, you will now have your instructions driven accordingly. You would take care of the students who are struggling with the concepts and give them tasks according to that. Okay, that is why we say that it is inseparable. Your assessment here is now feeding the instruction, right? So, so that's how exit cards can be used. Another very simple method of doing it is response cards. And this is something which I think every teacher should use it, even till class 12th level. There's no problem in that. Simple response cards can be made. Children can make it themselves. It could be a true and false response card. And all the children are there, they're just raising it. And you, the moment you've asked a question, they raise their response card and you're able to see everybody's responses within fraction of seconds. And you will get to know who has got it, who has not got it, who's struggling, who's having problems, where is the problem, right? So it could be a true, false, yes, no, anything which you want. If they have to choose between two, or if they have to write down a subjective answer, you can always give them a small whiteboard that they can carry with them, or a small, transparent L folder in which they can put a white sheet that becomes a whiteboard, and they can write with a marker pen and show you the response. Okay, so this way it is possible. Otherwise, if you're taking an online class, in an online class, something like which I'm using Nearpod right now, you can use that also. And you can hide the student's name if you want, and you will get to see the responses. There are many online tools with which you can do the things online as well, or taking the responses. Now, once you've got the response from the students, again, you have collected good information about the student's understanding, and that will help you drive your instruction for the next class, right? So this is something which is quite helpful if you're using it, and use it as many times as possible, because this will keep your children engaged, all of them engaged. Another thing which you can do inside the class, which is very good for differentiation, is an activity called raft. It's an interdisciplinary activity, and this has English as a part of the activity and any other subject. Okay. In this, what you do is you ask your child to assume as something while writing, to assume himself or herself as something, to assume that there is an audience, and also you will provide them in which format something has to be written. The topic will be provided, and also there is a strong verb, which means whatever he or she is writing should have some kind of a strong emotions into it. Okay, I'll give you an example of it. In fact, many examples. I'll share it in the WhatsApp group also. Example here is, and there are the examples from maths, history, science, language. So semicolon is addressing a group of middle school students, and the format is a diary entry, and the topic is, I wish you really understood where I belong. Where the semicolon belongs, I wish you really understood. This is the semicolon who is speaking to the middle school students, and there is a diary entry. So semicolon is making a diary entry and is speaking to middle school students. So this is the format of writing. This is purely language. Let's come on to science. Raindrop is speaking to future droplets. Okay, and the format is an advice in the form of an advice column, and the topic is the beauty of cycles. So here the children will be studying about, say, the water cycle, and so this is how they can write it. Then say example, history, reporter. You're a reporter, you are addressing public, and it's in the form of an obituary, and the topic is Hitler is dead. Maths, your fractions, your fraction, and you're addressing a group of whole numbers, and it is in the form of a petition, and the petition is on the topic to be considered as a part of the family. All right, so here these are some of the examples, and there are a number of different examples which are there, which I'll share it with you for different subjects. Now, say for example, over here there is a strong verb also, that's why I have put it here. Sun is speaking to plants, and the format is invitation for a date. Topic is how I can help you, and the strong verb here is enticing. Right, so you can, what you can do is that for your topic, whatever topic you're teaching in science, math, social science, you can provide them 4 or 5 or 6 different options, and the options should be such that the format of writing should range from low difficulty level to high difficulty level. You can let the students choose what they would like to write and assume the role as, and then you can provide them the options, let the children attempt it. In the process of attempting, they will make their language better, and also they will be able to understand the concept better. So when they're writing about the concept, their concept clarity will be there, and also the language is enhancing. So it's an interdisciplinary activity which can be done. And it will definitely be very interesting, because when the students, they will read out what they have written, it will again give clarity, because you are listening from the perspective of different students. It will give you clarity, as well as the class will become very interesting, because it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be, everybody's going to be laughing, and you know, humor inside the class enhances learning. So that's another activity which is raft. Third thing, this was also mentioned, that concept maps. Now, how do we use concept maps for differentiation? How can we differentiate? Now, one way is the thing is that you have your low ability, middle ability, high ability. You can provide to your high ability students, you can say that based on what we have studied so far, create a concept map on your own. That could be something which a high ability can do. Second could be that you can provide them half-filled concept maps, and the children let them work on this half-filled concept map. Third could be you can provide them just the structure, nothing is filled, and let the children fill it. Fourth could be that you can provide all the filled concept map, but there is some mistake somewhere, and they have to identify the mistakes. Okay, so now you know that at so many different levels of difficulty, you're presenting the concept map to the children. Now again, you will say that if I give to the students, they will feel bad about it. They will not, they'll feel that I'm dull, so I'm being given this. You can throw the options open to the children, And you can say that I have got a wrong concept map, I have got a half-filled concept map, I've got a blank concept map, and you have a freedom to design your own concept map, right? Choose whatever you want to do. So when you give the choice to the students, they will evaluate themselves and then they will go in for the right kind of resource. So this way, again, you can go ahead and do the students assessment and differentiate simultaneously. Okay, the next one is cubing. Okay, you can see if we fold this, it will form a cube, right? Now, cubing is another activity in which differentiation can be done really well. It could be that you can make a mixed ability group, and in the mixed ability group, you can give this cube and you can keep on providing words. I'm just taking this as an example where it is used in a sentence, define, antonym, plural, singular, synonym, right? And you can say that in this group, while I speak a word, there will be one person who will define, another who will write antonym, another who will write synonym, plural, singular, and so on. Okay. And it's a group activity. Somewhere whosoever is struggling, the group will help. That's one way of doing it. Second, you can say that I'll provide 6 words, and for each word, you have to do one of these things, which means that if I'm providing you one word, each student will write one sentence for each one word, a plural for second word, a singular for the third word, and so on. So this could be one way of doing it. Or otherwise, you can divide the children into groups and you say that, okay, this group will only define, this group will only give antonyms, this group will only give synonyms. So you can give one face of the cube to each group, right? Or otherwise, you can create different level of words, which means level of words can be slightly easy words, slightly difficult words, and then you can have ability groups, right? So you can see how many different ways are there in which we are using cubing. Okay, I'll give you another example here. On the face of the cubes, you can write anything. So there are 6 faces and you can write anything there. It could be describe it, compare it, associate it, analyze it, apply it, argue for or against it. It could be anything. Whatever you want to put on the faces of the cube, you can do it. You can differentiate inside. You can have various cubes for various groups, and that could be on the basis of Bloom's taxonomy. So, and you can see this is on the basis of Bloom's taxonomy only. So you can give one group on this for describing, another group to compare, a third group to associate, fourth group to analyze, and so on. And then when you're taking contributions from all the group, the same topic is being viewed from so many different angles. And it's being viewed on the basis of the ability of the students. Analyzing is done by the students where you feel that analysis will be good, will be done in a proper manner, right? So cubing, there are, as I said, there are 3 ideas of doing cubing. One is make a mixed ability group and hand over the cubes to the groups to work upon. Second is make ability groups and create different cubes for different groups. And third is let the cubes be generated by the high ability students. And let the high ability students facilitate this activity of cubing inside the class. You know, most of the time you can do differentiation by choosing some of your students, and every time choose different students, not the same high ability students. Ask them to go ahead and conduct the activity, right? That also is actually using your high ability to their skills, to match their skills. So that's about cubing. Another is Freir's model. Now in Freir model, what you're doing is that you can ask the children, whatever you've taught them, to put the definition there. What are the characteristics? What are the examples? And what are the non-examples? I'll give you some examples of Freir model. How does it work? The Freir model works like this. Example here is, say, physical property. So what's the definition? What are the characteristics? What are the examples of physical property, and what are the non-examples of physical property? Similarly, rectangle. Definition, what are the facts and properties? What are the examples? What are the non-examples? Right. So you can use this Freir's model for any topic which you want, and you can let the children do it. Now, how are we differentiating in this? So the differentiation again can be done that you can make mixed ability groups. You can provide a template in a group and ask them to work it out together. or otherwise you can group the students and give them numbers 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 in all the groups, and say that ones are going to write definition, twos are going to write characteristic, 3 will write examples, 4 will write non-examples. So that is possible. Or otherwise you can give different, from the same concept, different topics over here. The topic could be different, right? So that also could be the way of differentiation when we are talking about Freir's model. Okay, I think because I've been speaking for quite some time now, can I just have a quick round of if there are any questions? Otherwise I'll proceed, because we are also not remaining with too much of time and there is still something to give. I think we'll hold the questions. Let me just proceed. I'll proceed. Another thing which you can do with your students, I've brought an example of a higher class over here, because matching pairs in lower class is quite easy, but I'll tell you how to do it. Now in this, you can just have a cutouts of all of these things, and there are definitions for each one. What you have to do is you can select some group of students and you can say that, okay, today our expert panel is this, and there could be 4 or 5 such children, and let them be at different corners. Now you can choose some of your middle ability students and give them these definitions, and choose some of your low ability students and give them these words, right? Now once you have distributed this to them, now you have to let the middle ability students reach out to these terms and stand with them, make pairs and stand with them. Now they have a liberty, if they have not understood something, they can go and refer to the corner and find out and consult the expert group if they are not able to understand. So what happens is that you're providing them the support, and the low ability student has to say yes, that yes, this definition is matching my term, so you can stand with me. So the confirmation of the low ability student is also required here. So what you're doing is that you're giving each one of them the task matching their ability. So we are doing matching pairs, we are doing a simple activity, but in this activity, all your children are involved, all of them are working just above their skill level, and your concept is being thoroughly discussed, right? So this is how you can go ahead, do your differentiation while you're doing this activity of matching pairs. Now, you may say that, okay, sometimes I really need to find out where my children are. You can directly ask them, how do you find out? So you can say that, okay, I would want all of you to check out your confidence level for this particular topic, right? Now, what are the various ways by which you can do? You can say that, okay, if you feel very confident about the topic, raise a thumbs up. If you're not at all confident, put a thumbs down. Or if you're somewhere in between, you can put your thumb in the middle, right? So that way, and let all of them choose whatever they would want to choose. The second thing is you can ask them to move to different parts of the room, which means that those who feel very, very confident, go there. Those who feel slightly less confident, go there, and so on. So this way you can say, or it could be traffic lights, red, blue, green. You can ask them to raise their traffic lights. Or it could be that you can give them the exit tickets once again. And based on that, let everybody write their name and then choose their own confidence level. So you can give a question, where are you at the confidence level? Tick, and let them tick and then give it back to you. So all of these are the ways by which you can make the children reflect on their own confidence level and think and tell you that where they are. So this will also help you. And here the children they are themselves rating themselves. They are themselves saying that, okay, I think I have not got this point. I think I'm struggling over here. And let the children start thinking in this manner. It's important for them to reflect on their own learning. This is metacognition, right? So as many times as you are asking questions of this kind to your children, you're making them far more competent. Okay, so let the children keep on analyzing themselves on their learning. Next set of activity is stepped activities. Now, stepped activities are that you have decided upon a number of various tasks are there, and they are on the basis of Bloom's taxonomy. You put all those tasks out there, and you ask your children that you have to move from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Till whichever level you reach, that's not a problem, but just see that you're making progress, right? So that is the That's the idea of stepped activities. You can do that for your lesson. You can decide it beforehand that my children will move from this worksheet to this creating puzzle, then they'll move on to third thing, they will participate in this, that, whatever. So you can decide about how they are going to be proceeding, and leave it on to the students to choose things at their own pace or move at their own pace. Okay. Then another important way by which you can do differentiation, an easy thing to do, is either provide them to do match something, as we discussed matching pairs, or you can ask them to group something. I hope you have heard about the strategy of concept sort. So it's like sorting the things into different categories, or ranking, putting it into a sequence, right? Now, when you are providing them this thing, one important thing is that you're going to be providing them some concrete things to handle if it's in the classroom, okay? If it's in online teaching, you have to figure out that how would you like to provide it. Maybe it's on the screen and then they have to think about it. When we are saying matching, grouping, and ranking, when the children are doing this, how are we differentiating? Let the children do this activity. Everybody is doing the activity. Your low ability students, you are supposed to see whether they are matching it properly, grouping it properly, and so on. Your high ability students can then come up with logical explanations and reasoning based on how the ranking has been done or how the sorting has been done. Even in sorting, you can do differentiation. For your low ability students, you can provide them with the categories. Categorize it into deciduous, evergreen, and so on, right? And for your high ability, don't provide them the categories, just provide them the words. Let them create categories on their own, and they can create their own categories. Right? So that's, yes, please.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Aapke screen mein na, on the left side, there's something black which comes and covers the text. We're not able to see the screen fully.
Is that so? Acha, I am able to see the screen fully. Is that
now?
Yes.
It is smaller, but it covers your screen. Yeah, now it is better.
Yes, it's gone now.
Oh, you should have told me earlier.
I thought it is something wrong with my laptop.
No. You should have told me. Anyways, sometimes what happens is when I see all of you together on the screen, maybe that's the time it might be there. Okay. So when you are giving these students these kind of activities, in this also differentiation is possible. All of them are doing the same task, but what you're expecting one to do is to match, the other one has to explain, give logical reasons, or you may raise the level of the question based on matching only, right? So again, differentiation is possible in these kind of activities. Another which is very important over here, and a very good thing about differentiation, in which you can do differentiation, is having your buzz groups. Now, buzz groups are that before you go ahead and have a whole class discussion, you can say that, okay, let's buzz for some time. Now, when you're saying buzz for some time, which means everybody is discussing either in a pair or in a group of 3 people, right? So you've given them the topic and you ask them to buzz. So they are discussing it within that small group. Now, when the children are discussing in the small group, they will definitely speak, right? If it's a pair or 3, they will definitely speak, and they will get some idea about their about the topic. So if suppose I'm a weak student and I don't know anything about it, but I have a partner with whom I'm discussing, or there is one more person with whom I'm discussing, their ideas I'll be able to learn. So when the teacher goes in for the whole class discussion, I, who am a weak student who did not know anything about the topic, is now aware of 2 to 3 different ideas which I can speak of when my teacher asks, right? So buzzing is always good if we want that the students, all of them should be confident and they should be speaking. It's always better that you let them buzz for some time and then go in for a whole class discussion. So this is also a good way of differentiation, where you are providing support to the students who need that kind of support. Okay, so that is, so these are some of the activities for differentiation. And I have some activity for you again on the Nearpod. And this is a simple poll that I'm opening up now. Okay, so you have to answer based on the question. The question here is, do you feel it is easy to integrate differentiated instructions in the lesson plan? Okay, so this poll is there. It's open. I think you've got the answer also. You can choose your answers. Yeah. So when you're using Nearpod, you can choose whether you want to show the student's name, you don't want to show the student's name. Here, the student's name are not visible, but if I want, I can show the student's name also. Both are possible. Okay, so that was a simple question. Do you feel it is easy to integrate? And I can see the responses. Most of you have said yes. A was yes to a large extent. A and B. It is kind of ranging from A and B. Okay. And let me now go on for the next one. There's another poll for you. What is important for us to know before we integrate differentiated instructions? Okay, so choose your answers. What is that which we need to know? All right. Everybody has answered as D, and absolutely right. That's correct. All of the above. We need to be knowing the readiness level of the students, the interest or the dominant intelligences, the learning style. So all of this is important for us to know before we do differentiation. The last thing, this is an open-ended question. How confident do you feel in using differentiated instructions with your students? Now you can write it in a form of a sentence also, whichever way you want, you can write it. What confidence do you feel at the moment in managing differentiated instructions in the class? You may write it as a word, you may write it as a sentence. You want to put some additional information, you can do that as well. All right, quite confident. I always practiced it. That's so lovely. Veena ji is writing, I always practiced it. That's so nice. I'll hide the student's name. Quite confident. Yes, I'm confident. I can see that I feel confident, and after this workshop, I've understood how to streamline the activities. That's nice. That's great. Okay. All right. Okay. So, see, I think there is some problem because not all the children, not all the learners who are there, participants in this program have joined Nearpod. So I think some of you have struggled to be a part of it, but I think you must have got the concept of what differentiated instruction is, even if you have not participated in the activities. But now I would like to open this for questions. Please feel free to ask your questions, and I would encourage you to ask questions. Everybody has to ask a question. In fact, it's important. Ask any question, whichever you want, but then please ask questions.
Can I ask one question?
Please. Yes, ma'am.
When you talked of cubing, you gave example of English subject. Can you tell in some way of some other subject? You know, I'm from science background, so I'm more inclined towards science.
I'll give you the example of science. Okay. So suppose in science you are teaching them about, say, metals and non-metals, right? So if so, you could be in the cube. On one face you can say examples of metals. On the other face you can say properties or the differences, similarities between metals and non-metals, dissimilarities between metals and non-metals, or it could be analyze what is better or what is more useful, metal or non-metal, right? evaluate in case of metals and non-metals, what can we ask them to evaluate?
We can have examples.
Yeah, so examples are a simple thing. We can always ask them for examples.
Depending on the level of the class.
So based upon what topic you're doing, you can ask them different level of questions. You can ask them to associate metals with, associate non-metals with. So so that also you can do. So there was something like associate, apply, argue for and against, you know. So you can think about the questions which you would like to put on the cubing based on your topic, and that I think we would be able to create also.
Ma'am, now your whole screen is covered with black.
Yes, now it is, because I am seeing all of you. I want to see all of you. I'll remove it now. Because see, right now I'm not putting up any other screen, so it's okay. I am seeing all of you simultaneously, so therefore I have to. Anyways, any other question which you have? Any? I mean, I do want to hear more questions before I put this off. What is that new thing that you have gained?
Yeah. Some teachers questions us about that. Sometimes when we talks about so much formative kind of assessment and so much activity and strategies, so sometimes they used to complain that, ma'am, with this a pressure of syllabus, how it can be possible? I mean, sometimes they give such kind of excuses to us that it would not be possible with with the pressure of work and so many things are there on our head. Sometimes we have to busy with the assessment. Sometimes we have to complete the syllabus.
एक example देती हूँ आपको, प्रीति जी. And that is from the time when I used to be a school principal. That was the time when the teachers always had this kind of a problem. Time की problem हर teacher को होती है, and curriculum हमेशा हर teacher के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा होता है, right? Example of a 10th and 12th class. 10th class का syllabus हम नवंबर में खत्म कर लेते थे. 12th class का syllabus नवंबर में खत्म कर देते थे. When the syllabus is being covered, that is being done in a hurry, without even seeing whether children have got it, not got it, कोई कहाँ पे है, क्या है, पता नहीं, क्योंकि मेरा पूरा focus ये होता था कि नवंबर तक syllabus finish हो जाना चाहिए, right? And then what used to happen was first pre-board in December, second pre-board in January, with very bad results. And then you keep taking out the students and giving them revision, re-revision, test, retest, and this is what happens, right? So the fact is, where were we missing out? We were missing out on that time. वो time जो हमें actual concept और explanation देने में लगाना था, हमने वो तो लगाया नहीं, और उसके बाद हम test, retest, revision, re-revision and harassment of the student, यही होता था, right? So what we have to explain our teachers is that when we are teaching them, तो curriculum finish करने के बजाय बच्चों को smart बनाना बहुत जरूरी है. At least हमारे पास 8th तक तो वो पूरी सुविधा available है, right? It's important that we make our children think. The moment they will be having good, ability of language, and they will be able to think rationally and critically. If they have the study skills with them, there is no power on the earth which will, make them not do well in the exam, right? So this is what we need to explain our teachers कि आपका वही ट्रेडिशनल क्लासरूम हो गया ना, जहाँ पे कि करिकुलम खत्म करना हमारा मेन मकसद है. So ये you have to move out of it. This is important. At least till class 8th हम अपने क्लास का, स्कूल का स्ट्रक्चर इतना मजबूत करें जहाँ पे कि टीचर का सोल, टीचर should be responsible for the learning outcomes of the students. A school principal is responsible for the learning outcomes of the students. हम ये नहीं कह सकते हमने पूरा साल पढ़ाया, बच्चे ने नहीं पढ़ा, उसका नहीं हुआ, ये reason, वो reason. That's not done. That's not done. We have to start feeling responsible. और जिस दिन हम responsible feel हो जाएंगे, हमारी technology पढ़ाने की बदल जाएगी. And believe me, the moment your children will become smart, your teachers have to labor less. It will take further less time for you to finish the syllabus. When I started teaching study strategies to the teachers have reported and said, ये पूरा chapter हमने कम time में पढ़ा लिया और बच्चों को भी ज्यादा अच्छे से समझ में आया, राइट? सो when this kind of a thing is there, it's important कि हमारे टीचर्स पढ़ा कैसे रहे हैं वो important है, right? So don't take it from the teachers at all. आपको model करना पड़ेगा. If you are an administrator, you have to model certain things to your teachers. You have to go inside the class and say that, look, it has to be done in this manner. Less time, better retention by the students, better engagement of the students, and better output. So there is, yeah, sorry.
Agree with you. बदल रही हैं, काफी चीजें बदल भी गई हैं, बट स्टिल कुछ टीचर्स होते हैं जो वो पुराने पैटर्न पर रहना चाहते हैं.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. बस यहीं पे तो हमारा चैलेंज है ना, यही माइंडसेट हमको चेंज करना है. दीप्ति जी, and you being at the helm of affairs and you being as the head of the school, you know, I know that you would push those teachers. एक तो कुछ teachers होते हैं जो uncoachable हैं. If they are not changeable, it's better to change such teachers, right? But those who have, those whom you can change, those who are wanting to change, they are the ones you should definitely impact on. और सबसे important असर तभी पड़ेगा जब हम as a school head खुद लोगों को demonstrate करके बताएं कि this is how it has to be done. Or we choose certain people from our staff who then demonstrate it to the others. So वो एक learning culture जब हम बना देंगे अपने स्कूल के अंदर, incentives उन लोगों को मिलेंगे जो कि अच्छा पढ़ा रहे हैं, those who are engaging the children जिनके outcomes अच्छे हैं, then you will find that the school's culture will start changing. So वो पहले हमें believe करना पड़ेगा. अगर हमने believe कर लिया तो हम उस चीज को definitely achieve कर पाएंगे. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other question? Any other question related to differentiated instructions? क्या ये concept clear हो गया है सबको कि differentiated instructions होते क्या हैं? उनको किस तरीके से we have to introduce inside the class? How do we have to integrate it in our activities and how do we have to integrate it in our formative assessments? In fact, जितनी भी activities हम कराते हैं वो सभी हमारे they are the form of a formative assessment only. All activities are a form of formative assessments because every activity is giving us some or the other information about the students' learning, right? So we have to tell our teachers that whenever you're doing an activity, see that how can you create different levels within the same activity. So when they start thinking in this manner, they can differentiate almost everything that they are doing inside the class. Starting from flipped classroom, starting from creating their own videos for the concept. अब तो और भी अच्छा है. You can create videos of the concept. जो content देने में time लगता था, वो time भी खत्म हो गया. You can now reduce that time. Now all that time can be used for activities and engaging the children. So all the more we are in a more blissful state, I believe, with online teaching and all of these coming in, it will definitely reduce a lot of time which is taken otherwise in just monologues. All right, any other question? Otherwise I'll just make the brief announcements and then we can close the session. Moshina has not asked any question today. You've been quiet. Khushbu, you've been quiet for quite some time.
Ma'am, I am just viewing, but actually in the first half, a certain departmental meeting was held and I had to be on my laptop. So I was on this webinar, but I had to be a little bit away from your presentations.
You were doing multitasking. That's okay. That's okay. No problem. Okay. So
nice session. I was listening to your lecture.
All right. Thank you, Moshina. Just important announcements now that your certificates will be reaching you on Monday. And after I close this, I'll be sending you the feedback form on the WhatsApp group. Please fill the feedback form, fill in your particulars the way you want it on the certificates, because directly this particulars will get into your certificate. So your name and your school name has to be written properly and your email ID without any mistakes. Okay. So then you are going to be receiving your certificate on Monday. That is it. And please put in your queries in case if you have some queries put in there. I'll personally get in touch with you for addressing all your queries, whatever are there. I'll also share the recording.
The recordings, ma'am. Yes, yes,
I'll
yes.
share the recording of this presentation with you. But my only request is, because this is a paid training, so please don't share it further anywhere in groups, in any of the groups. Just keep it for your own personal use. That's my
Yes,
only
ma'am.
request.
Yeah, yeah. That's a promise, ma'am. That's a promise.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She
I
can
completely
guarantee that.
believe you. Okay, great then. Thank you so much for listening and coming, joining. This was a fairly small group as compared to all the other webinars. Probably because maybe this is not a topic which everybody wants to be knowing about, or they already know about it. That maybe any of these could be the reasons for it.
No, ma'am, not many people know about it, but thing is that this is the thing that's a need of the hour, because we have varied section of calibers with us. So we need to plan a lesson accordingly for effective teaching and learning process.
And moreover, ma'am, at times we know, but then we are not doing that. So that is again a kind of reminder. And
Yeah.
it's always wonderful to attend your workshops, ma'am, and your webinars. So thank you so much.
Rupa ma'am, thank you very much. As usual, it has been, you know, such an interesting session that, you know, we did not even come, at least I did not even come to know when the time was over. And still, you know, we left that we wanted more. Ye dil mange more. So we'll be waiting for your next session, ma'am. And thank you very much. Wonderful session and lot of learning. And yes, as one of the participants said, that we already know about it, but then, you know, we need to get this in reinforced. And some of us must be doing some of these practices we may be carrying out without realizing it.
Yes.
And so thank you very much for again reminding us, and you know, opening so many new things, venues for us, you know, like, you know, so many things you made us aware. And I would be looking forward for your next session, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Rupa
ma'am.
ma'am, Rupa ma'am, hats off again
So
for
much,
your
Rita ji.
dynamic personality and the way you means clears all the doubts about this differentiated learning. I really wanted it. That's why I joined it.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank
So
you
I
so
was
much for
practicing some of them.
Okay. Great,
I have
great.
learned it only from you, but still I wanted to know some more. Okay. Thank you. Thank you
So
very
much.
much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you. Bye-bye, ma'am.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye. See you all.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See you.
See you.
Bye.